NFL Wild Card Weekend. We're welcoming back Joe Gavazzi, NFL football analyst, and Joe and I are breaking down these wild card games, and we're getting Joe's thoughts and try to get inside his head and find out why he is so confident about his picks. And as Joe alluded to, these are 4 games where the home team is the underdog, so it's interesting. Now, this one, Joe and I are absolutely on board on the same train with this one. Seattle at Minnesota, and I am absolutely shocked at the line. This is the kind of game for me, Joe, that at the end of the day, I think we throw stats, everything else out the window, and we look at common sense, coaching, and a team that's just clicking on all cylinders. But again, that's why I enjoy your breakdown, as do our viewers. So what do you think, Joe? I know you like Seattle minus the 5 at Minnesota. What are the determining factors that have led you to say, hey, this is a lock, this is a win?
Well, as a backdrop to this game, let's note that once again, home dogs in the NFL wildcard round, 15-6 against the spread, including 9-3 against the spread if our team has the better record, which Minnesota certainly does here. Speaking of better records, nobody better recently against the spread than the Minnesota Vikings, who are 21-5 against the spread the last 1+ seasons in NFL action. Hard to go against that. But they did have a huge win last week against the Green Bay Packers to get the divisional title and get a home field game in this wild card round. That being said, have they achieved their Peter principle? In other words, are they just happy to get to the playoffs this year after numerous years in which they have not been there? These two teams did square off earlier in the season. In fact, on this field and not long ago, the line was a pick 'em, and Seattle rolled 38-7, including 173 running yards, outgaining the Vikings by a far greater than 2-1 margin, and it wasn't even close. Seattle had the defense to shut down what the Vikings do best, run the football, and in fact, Minnesota, arguably the worst passing team in the playoffs this year. Lots to like about head coach Zimmer and the Vikings. Again, that 21-5 ATS run means they remain underrated, particularly this +5 home dog price. But I think the Seattle Seahawks just have too much going on. They came on like gangbusters down the stretch. They've won and covered their last 4 road games, and they're playing their best ball of the season, no doubt about that. Key factor here is Minnesota Vikings, a non-playoff team here, versus a Seattle team who has huge experience with 2 Super Bowls under their belt, quarterback who's playing the best he has all year, a strong running game that's at least the equal of the Vikings, and actually, as well as the Vikings have played on defense, Seattle has the better numbers across the board. We'll take the Seattle Seahawks here minus the 5 points against the Vikings.
Yeah, Joe, I've got some thoughts on this game as well. And first off, my hat is off to Mike Zimmer, the coach of the Vikings. He's done an incredible job, and he is a defensive guru, and he's really took that team to a level that has not been in a long time, and he's done it very quietly. Now, Teddy Bridgewater, the quarterback, when he came out of college, I just wasn't a big fan of thinking he was going to have a great impact in the NFL. Now, he's done better than I thought he would, but last week I saw some mistakes that are, from immaturity. And here's my concern, and not a lot of people are talking about it. The weather is predicted to be about 0 degrees, if not below. All right, Teddy Bridgewater lived in Florida his whole life and then played college ball at Louisville. I think that factor right there is going to just absolutely stop this team and shut them down. Adrian Peterson's got a lower back issue. He's going to be nowhere near 100%. I don't see him chewing up the yards. But my thought was Seattle and Pete Carroll, it comes down to coaching, experience, and mojo. And he has this team clicking right now. And I think, Joe, that they see what they blew last year on that last play. They got over the frustration, and now they've turned the frustration into motivation. And I think that's why they're clicking on all cylinders. But I wanted your thoughts on Bridgewater, and if you had any updates or anything about Adrian Peterson and that lower back issue.
Well, I certainly agree with you that Bridgewater has not been asked to do much. And as a result, it is hard for them to balance the offense. One factor that we didn't point out about is the running back issue. Let's remember that while Seattle was having all their success with reserve running backs in there, this week, their real stud, Marshawn Lynch, expected to return for the playoffs. that could give them an additional edge at the point of attack, especially if AP less than 100%.
Okay. Well, Joe, I appreciate it. Viewers, you heard it, and we're both on the same page, Joe and I, which we often are. Seattle minus the 5 doesn't scare me at all. The weather doesn't scare me. I really think they're just going to take off running. All right, Joe, thank you so much. We look forward to getting back to you here shortly and breaking down another game.